Welcome to the TriStar Podcast, where martial arts meets family, faith, and personal growth. Join Professor Brummett and Professor Chris Bean as they share stories from the mat, lessons from life, and tools to help you and your family live like black belts on and off the mat. It's time to train the body, sharpen the mind, and strengthen the spirit right here on the TriStar Podcast. Hello and welcome back to the TriStar Podcast. And we have a very special podcast today because we have one of our second-degree black belts with numerous accomplishments. And it's a cliche to say I'm super excited. So I hate saying that. So I am extremely excited and honored to have her on the podcast today. And then we also do have her mom on the podcast as well, just from obviously we want a parent's perspective about the program and those type of things as well. So without further ado, Mr. Bean, we've got Alexis McCullough and also her mom, Cassandra McCullough. So thanks, guys, for being on the podcast. And for the listeners or viewers, let me just say Cassandra's taken some time off because she's actually on vacation and she's still getting on the Zoom. So we appreciate that.
Thank you guys for having us.
Well, okay, so Alexis, let's start from the beginning. If you can think back, okay, let's set this up. How old, Alexis, were you when you started training?
I believe I was 8 years old. I had been in second grade, and so it had, I think, been one of my birthday presents. We did one of the free trials initially for karate because it had just been something new in the community that I wanted to try, and yeah.
Now, if you can think back to those early days, 8 years old, what were some feelings that you had when you were starting out? And if you can think back to there, what was it that connected for you to help you to stay and continue through?
And let's put some context to it. You're 17 or 18 now? Yes, I'm 18 now.
8. Okay.
I would say that initially it had just been exciting. It'd been fun. It'd been something that I had looked forward to at the end of the day. It had been a source of a lot of my friends at the time. I'd always looked forward to summer camps as well as taking breaks at the end of class to play dodgeball with all of our plaids. And so those little joyous moments kind of drew me back to karate, although it was a very disciplinary extracurricular as a kid because it taught me many lessons. It was definitely a source of learning no matter what. And so I was really thankful that I had a place and a little home that I could look forward to going to at the end of the day where I could just kind of let go no matter what. You were going to get a workout in. So I think that no matter what, it's beneficial, but just the friends and the connections that you make just make it an even better experience.
And it's cool that you kind of thinking back on that. Those are the things that come to your mind because really, as we're designing the program and leading the school, that's our hope, that's our desires. When you think back to the training that you had, is the friends, the fun times that you had. Yeah, sure, there was discipline. Yeah, you had to learn things. You had to jump through some hoops in order to make it to the next level. But really, it was the environment. And we do a fair bit of work on the back end to kind of construct that environment as such so that stands out. So it's nice to know that worked that well for you.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, Cassandra, what were the reasons that you wanted, Alexis to get involved?
So when she was little, one of the things that I thought about is as she is getting to this age now and going off to college, I wanted to be sure that she could defend herself, that she could be aware of her surroundings. She would have the confidence to move about and feel safe and secure no matter where she was.
And do you feel like did you feel like she received that?
Oh, hands down. We go to Chicago sometimes and the kids walk in front of us. So one of our other friends who's also a second degree, and people are like, are you really going to let the kids just walk by themselves? And I'm like, oh yeah, they're both second degree black belts. We're fine. They'll protect us.
And Alexis, do you feel like the program gave you what your mom was hoping with regards to self-defense?
Definitely. I would say that I've never like really walked around feeling like scared or anything because I've also done wrestling on top of karate. So I'm not saying that I'm looking to brawl anybody on the side of the road, but I feel like if I had to be put in a scenario where I had to defend myself, I feel like I could do so. And yeah, one of the funny things that my mom was kind of mentioning is newly, I just got the title of Miss Chicago's Teen. And so my talent is martial arts, and so is Miss Cook County. And so we have our own little bouncer squad on our pageant team. So we have two martial artists. So that's really cool.
Well, okay, can you bring us in, share that experience with us? How did that happen for you? What did you have to do in order to win that? And then how did martial arts play a role contributing to that?
So pageantry is a very new aspect of my life. I just participated in my third pageant this past month. I did it in January. And so there are 5 areas of competition in Miss America pageants. Mostly it is centered around your interview skills and your ability to hold a conversation. But on top of that, there's also talent, evening wear, and health and fitness. Health and fitness and evening wear are more about poise and how you present yourself and your overall bodily fitness. And talent is the most creative segment that you kind of get in the Miss America program. And so a lot of people have a range of talents. There's anything from dancing to singing to we had a DJ at the last pageant that I participated in, but it had really been something like a goal of mine to kind of stand out. And so I do a lot of singing and I play a lot of instruments, but I was kind of drawn back to maybe doing a martial arts demonstration because it really is something that's unique. It's something that is different and something that is really entertaining when you do it the right way. And so my first time that I had done my martial arts demonstration, I did not do so, I would say, to my best capability. And so I had, at the end of my demonstration, I break a concrete brick. And so my first pageant at my local, I was not able to complete that task. And so it had been a very mental and physical journey to be able to like get to the point where I had confidence in myself that I could break my brick. And so I did so at Miss Illinois, where I placed top 5 and I was third runner up. And it was successful this past month of January when I won Miss Chicago. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's exciting for you. And it was fun to work with you, with your routine to put it together. And, for the listeners too, you have an upcoming pageant in June, and tell us a little bit about that one.
So this is going to be my second time competing for the Miss Illinois Teen title. It is going to be definitely a good experience. I have really tried to hone and focus in on all of the speaking skills that I have this year, as well as the different areas of my community service initiative, which is my CSI. Last year, I was mainly centered around Gold Star families and honoring Gold Star families, but this year I'm digging even deeper into that. And so the acronym of my CSI is GRACE. And so it's Gold Star Resources and Community Engagement, because Gold Star Resources and Gold Star Families were the original inspiration on, I would say, essentially everything I do. And community engagement is just such a big part of my life that that was the only way I could put a label on it, because there's just so much that I do that's outside of just Gold Star families. And there's so much, I think, that there's so much value in giving back to other people. And there's so much value in service and being able to do something better for somebody else, because it just fills your bucket. So that's one of the things that I'm advocating for, because that was a really big part of my healing process and my grief process, as my inspiration behind everything I do is my late father, Mark McCullough. And so, yeah, this year it's going to be interesting on how I find a way to kind of up my talent and my kind of showstopper from last year, but I'm really looking forward to doing something crazy this year and being able to make an impact.
Well, and I was going to say, tell everybody what you did last year with regards to the Gold Star families, and what's in the Bourbonnais Park and everything that you had done.
So a year ago, on April 26th, I was able to officially dedicate my Gold Star Family Woody Williams Memorial Monument. This was a Eagle Scout project of mine, and the goal and inspiration behind it was to honor all of the Gold Star families within the area and in the state of Illinois. My father passed away about 6 or 7 years ago to heart complications. And ever since then, it's been my goal to not only make him proud, but to be able to positively impact others through my service. And so that was a really big way that I could pay it forward. It's a 7 feet tall at its highest peak and 14 feet wide black granite monument that was imported directly from India. It has 4 panels on it: Homeland, Family, Patriot, and Sacrifice. And it even has a little photo of me as a baby with my parents and I walking through the park. And so it really hits close to home for me because it's very personal. And so I've always got to have a kind of meaning behind everything I do. And so my dad was also very passionate about me doing karate. And so that's why it also is kind of nostalgic for me to be doing that as my talent at Marion and beyond.
Now, you had to raise money in order to get that all done as well. Was it about $200,000 that you had to raise?
I would say so. It initially was a $100,000 project, but just the sheer scope of like where it grew to be, we had gone from just having the idea of placing a slab of granite in the middle of a park to a handicap certified with a sidewalk and shrubs and lights, flags, everything. And so the project grew so much bigger than I'd ever expected it to be. And so because of the community engagement and just everybody wanting to lend a helping hand, it was able to be so much bigger than I ever expected. And so this year, I'm not raising funds towards Gold Star families anymore, but my focus has shifted to the American Heart Association. I'm currently a Teen of Impact for Team Chicago, which basically means that it's my goal this year to raise as much money as I can for the American Heart Association and for heart health research, because it's a very important thing in my family because I lost multiple family members to heart complications, but also just for women in general and Miss America, because it's statistically proven that 1 in 3 women will eventually pass away due to heart complications. And I think that's a statistic that's A, very scary, and B, is fixable with some research. So that's my goal because, again, it's very personal, and I think that it's very important to make an impact. So that's kind of where my fundraising skills have gone towards this year.
Now, forgive me because I don't know the name of the park, but it's on your way out 102. So that the listeners want to see that monument. What is the name of the park? Do you remember the name of the park?
Route 102 in Bourbonnais.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't remember the name of the park itself. Marcotte, that's it. Okay. All right. Excellent. I just want the listeners to know where they can find that.
Yes.
Now, it's obvious that you have an immense sense of drive, dedication, and discipline in order to accomplish all of these things. Where do you think that comes from, that drive, the dedication, the discipline?
I would say it definitely comes from my parents. Both of them were very headstrong individuals and very driven. My dad was a military guy from the age of 18 until he passed away at the age of 51. And so he was very driven and resilient. And his key phrase and motto was embrace the suck. So he definitely had a drive towards persisting even through hard times. My mom is passionate and driven in completely other ways. She's very persistent when it comes to making sure that I'm on top of my activities. And so I think that she definitely holds me accountable in places that I would otherwise not be as accountable in. And so I would say my dad has inspired me with his drive for me to match that. And then my mom just like pushes me forward. So.
That's beautiful.
Well,
that's beautiful to have that example and that support.
Yeah. And Cassandra, from mom's side, how does it feel watching Alexis go through all of these accomplishments and knowing now that you are, a helpful sense of drive and discipline along the way?
I'm amazed all the time at all of the things that she's done. But when I think back to her childhood, she had kind of a rough go at it. We moved, her dad and I had gotten divorced. And so that change was very hard for her and the transitions of all of those things. And so when we agreed to set her up for martial arts, it was a place of comfort as well as training and discipline. But then it was something to look forward to. It was consistency, and those things, when you put them all together, created who she is now. So her learning to be committed to something, her learning to push through things that you didn't think that you could push through. I mean, I've seen her do all of her forms and different things, and the testing for first and second degree was arduous at best to describe. And those things allowed her to be who she is now. And she referenced earlier that she struggled at her first competition, having completed the task of breaking her brick. And one of the things that I really valued through the program the whole time was the extra attention that you got. So if you needed a private lesson, if you had something else going on, being able to come into the studio and talk if you were having a personal problem. And so there were times that Lexi was able to just come in and say, this is happening at school and it's difficult. And you guys would be able to talk her through it and provide a different perspective. And that has allowed her to grow in a different way than I could have provided by myself. So
well, thanks
I'm
for giving
very
us that
grateful
opportunity.
for that. Yes. So you guys watched her grow up just as much as I did. I just got to drive her to practice.
Also, honorable mention about the whole brick and the whole not being able to break the brick at the Miss Kankakee pageant is I broke a brick in second grade. And so it was definitely a mental journey. And so I think that the mental resilience that I've developed through karate has definitely helped form me to like being who I am. Like even just like the simple phrases that we were taught about like persistence and reviewing your progress and renewing your goals, like all of the things that we were taught in class are things that I'm directly able to take and implement into my life now. And so legitimately, like when I am planning my road to Miss America, I'm using the same steps and the same processes that I was using when I was learning how to do karate, and how I now have to learn how to do anything, because being able to identify coaches and being able to work towards your goals, those are all things that you need to know how to do regardless of you being in a karate studio. Like I've taken away so many life lessons and so many different just like key wisdoms from karate that I've been able to kind of focus towards. Essentially, like legitimately, when I'm thinking about how Miss America and how anything makes me fit, it's how am I being more fit spiritually, mentally, and physically? And those were key phrases that I learned from TriStar. And so just having those things that are repeated to you and constantly quizzed you on, it helps you have that little inkling and that little voice in the back of your head that says, okay, I have a daunting goal in front of me, but I know how to deal with goals and I don't know how to deal with processes, because it's a 5-step process. No matter what the goal is, no matter how daunting it is, it's still plain and simple steps.
So it sounds to me like, the martial arts moves then in and of themselves wasn't the only thing that you got out of martial arts. Am I correct in hearing that?
Yes.
Okay. Both are equally important, knowing how to protect yourself and knowing how to, have the discipline, respect, and fortitude, grit, all those things. But I'm just curious, if you could only have, the mental aspect of martial arts or the physical aspect of martial arts, which would you choose?
I think I would honestly choose the mental, because in my case, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to do wrestling anyways. But I would say just even beyond that, like if I had to choose like being able to like go outside and smell the sunshine again. Like I would still like take the mental lessons that I got from karate because they have just molded my confidence. They've molded my resilience. They've molded how I process and how I think about things, how I can receive information. And it's just helped me being able to like have healthy outlets too, because I had been a kid that had been going through a lot of things that I didn't know how to really process at the time. And karate gave me an outlet that I was able to kind of take outward and external factors, and I was able to kind of reflect on it internally and being able to like process that without like taking it out on anybody else that was around me, and kind of leaving things at the door when I stepped into the karate studio because it's time for class, not time to be festering or pondering about what's happening outside of class. And so being able to stay focused and being on top, constantly having a task and constantly having an assignment helped me stay on a regimen. It helped me stay focused. It helped me being able to compartmentalize things in my life that now I'm able to kind of manage the same way in high school and beyond.
It's such a positive distraction. Like, you know, when you have all this stuff going on in your life, and I always talked about this at the studio with the students, is as soon as you singe that belt, it's like everything else melts away. And now I could get to be in this world. And yeah, of course, when I take the belt off, I've got to pick all my worries and cares back up. But at least for that time, I don't have any of those. It's such a positive distraction, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think
the
there's
only
something.
thing I was going to chime in, I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
was just the confidence. And when you see them get their belt rank, when you see them accomplish to succeed and get to the next opportunity, watching her on stage break her brick at Miss Illinois, you could see the energy that is around her. So I say martial arts has developed an aura around her that looks like confidence to everyone else. And you should see the spring in her step when she breaks those bricks now.
Well, and okay, so going back to the self-defense part component of it, confidence is a big piece of that, because really the negative people, the bad people, they're going to look at and prey on people who are not very confident, who are not very aware, they don't really know what's going on. But sometimes just being more confident, looking like you're more confident, and sometimes looking like you're more confident means you are more confident, but that's a whole thing in itself. Being more confident, you walk a certain different way, you look a different way, you are watching the things that are around you. You're not going to be a likely target to be picked on anyways. And so that already puts you far in a way ahead of where the quote unquote average person is that doesn't have this. But to do something like this as a practice where you can have that continual step into the confidence, and not only to step into the confidence, but each level you get to step up your confidence. And so each time you break the board, each time you break the break, each time you get that next belt, gives you an opportunity to level up, and not just level up but in ranks, but level up in your confidence and the things that you know that you are capable of. And so, Alexis, with that kind of in mind, at what point did you realize that you were capable more than what you thought you were?
I would say that it's a never-ending journey for me personally, but I would say definitely, and it's ironic for me because I stopped doing karate in 8th grade, but I didn't get to that point until I had picked up going to lessons again with Master Brummett to work on my Miss Illinois stuff that I like kind of truly, I would say, I experienced that at Miss Illinois. And so I had been going I had been going through a mental journey of, am I able to break this brick that I was able to somehow miraculously break it when I was 8 years old, and I can't do it at the grown age of 17. It was beyond me, but I had developed a mental barrier that was not allowing me to go through because we don't know. Self-doubt is the root of all evil. But I would say that once I had finally pushed past that limit, it had opened up so many more opportunities and so many more just scopes of what I believed in myself I could do. And that experience alone at Miss Illinois was enough for me to leave, saying, although I didn't win the title, I've got something. I found the spark. I found the ability that I'm able to do it. And so I kind of like reached that kind of confident state this summer at Miss Illinois in Marion. And so I'm still working on how I can still carry myself with that confidence and exude that wherever I go. But it's always a journey. But
And it's
I would say one of the things that kind of, okay, actually, if we want to do a throwback, my orange belt, I had been testing on my orange belt, and I was not prepared for my test. And I also somehow didn't remember my lefts and rights. And it was a jab, cross, hook, upper, and I could not get it. And I think it was honestly Master Bane that was holding the pads, and he kept saying, he was like, no, do it one more time. And then I just done the same thing 3 times in a row. And then he gave me all the grace he could, and then he was like, and I remember, I don't know if you guys still do it this way, but I remember the little public humiliation of me having to stand there at the end of class with my belt, and I was sobbing as I was peeling off every single one of my stripes, and I had to do it again. And ever since I experienced that, I was like, I hate the feeling of failure. I hate the feeling of not succeeding. Failure. But I didn't like that feeling, and I've never hoped to experience a feeling next to that ever again. And so that kind of lit a fire under my rear end, per se, that kind of encouraged me to stay humble, because I had not fully prepared for this test. And at the time, I had wanted to blame every single thing in the universe except for my unpreparedness on why I didn't get my belt. And so I took away from that experience that if you do want a end result, that you need to put the work in. And that is something that TriStar definitely, I'm not going to say harps on, that's not the right word, but they definitely focus. And that's a definite major point of TriStar is repetition and making sure that you are doing the work, and it's almost muscle memory rather than, oh yes, I just crammed my karate form right before class and now I'm going to test on it, I'm going to get my stripe and it's going to be fine. It's accountability. It's teaching you that you need to put the work in if you want an end result. And it taught me how to, if I do want to set realistic goals for myself, and if I do want to succeed and I do want to not have to experience failure, then I can't put zero effort in and I can't put zero work in and then suddenly expect a result or a answer that I had been wanting.
Well, and kudos to your mom, number one, for because I'm sure she had to talk you into, yeah, you're going back, maybe, I don't know, but and then kudos for you to come back, because many times what happens is the child doesn't earn their stripes, they don't go to their test, or they earn their stripes, they go to the test and they still don't pass, whichever the case is. And of course they're disappointed, just like you were. But they let it get to them to a point where the parent even allows them to quit. And the beautiful thing is that didn't happen in your case. And what you're saying is that had so many teachable lessons inside of it that it was memorable enough for you, one, to bring up in this podcast, but two, you've decided I'm not going to be unprepared. I don't want to be unprepared. And it's not that yes, nobody wants to fail, and we shouldn't be afraid to fail, but we should be afraid to fail if we're not prepared.
And I also had a cool experience when I think I was at Applebee's, actually, and I had seen another girl, and this is fast forward to a few months ago, and I had seen a girl in a karate uniform, and I was like, OMG, like, I recognize that uniform. Like, do you go to TriStar? And she was standing there with her mom, and she's like, no, this is Oberweis. It's Oberweis, not Sammy's or wherever I said. But we're at Oberweis. And they're eating ice cream, and I was like, OMG, I went to TriStar. And so this girl had been like just sitting there eating her ice cream, and like she hadn't sounded the most excited to talk about karate because her mom had said and essentially told me, she was like, oh yes, I think she had either failed like a stripe test or she had failed a main test. And I got to have a conversation with her, and I got to like say, like, literally, me too, girl. Like, I was an orange belt and I didn't even pass my regular test, and I had to take all my stripes off. And I told her about my embarrassing moment in karate. And so then I was able to leave that conversation, and she had a smile on her face. And I don't know her name, and I don't know if she came back. I don't know any of those things. But it's really cool how you can see, like, past that one moment of devastation and like, okay, yes, life moves on. And one day she might be in an Oberweis and running into a girl that just failed an orange belt test. But it's crazy how the world works in those kinds of ways. So,
well, God puts you at the right place at the right time.
I always think that it's interesting when people fail and they take it. Okay, so when people fail, there's all kinds of things that are attributing to that failure, right? So it's either a failure, it's a blame on somebody else, or you take ownership of that failure. But the difference when you fail inside the martial arts studio versus when you fail outside in real life, when you fail inside the martial arts studio, the people that are surrounding you are there to help you. They care about you. We are there to help and support you. Even though we failed you in that time, what we did was we just said, hey, listen, you didn't make the standard this time. These are the things you need to work on. So we do it in a way that builds you up and doesn't break you down. Whereas the counterpoint to that is out in society, if you fail or when you fail, because it will happen, it is not at all that same type of environment. And so when you get your feet back under you, you're not very apt to go do that thing again out in society, especially if that's the only interaction that you ever have with failure. That's all that you know is that negativity that surrounds it. Whereas at the school, at the studio, martial arts studio, that is very much not that case. And we don't point it out. We don't place blame on it. Listen, these are the things we need to work on. Let's come back next week. We'll do it again. Not a problem. We'll work on this. I get 3 more months to get this information down. To really get to really know it. Let's work hard this time, and then let's make it for the next one. And that type of environment is so much different than where it is in real life, outside of the martial arts studio. But if you can have those failures on that, in that type of atmosphere, it changes what it looks like in real life. Because I'm sure when you went up to break that brick, that moment for you was similar to that moment when I didn't give you that orange belt because you didn't have the punches in the right order or the left side or whatever. And if that first moment wouldn't have happened and that was the very first taste of failure that you had out on the stage, not breaking that brick, I think that environment was much different than how it was at the studio. Would you agree with that?
yes, wholeheartedly. I think that TriStar provides a very safe space. I wouldn't say rejection therapy, but it provides a very safe space to fail and to get back onto your feet. And I wouldn't say you're getting coddled, but it is a very uplifting community where you're given as much time as you need to be able to meet the criteria. And you can do it at whatever pace you want to, or you need to, or you're capable of. But I really value the fact that, like, it's not just it's good enough, so we'll pass it. We are making sure that you know what you're talking about. We're making sure that you know what you're practicing. We're making sure that you know that when you take this out into the real world, that you're not taking something that just passes by. You're taking real effort and real wisdom and real knowledge.
Well, and Cassandra, can you speak about that orange belt failure that Alexis went through from the parent side? How was that for you on the parent side?
It was absolutely devastating to watch. I remember taking pictures and recording because I always do that at every belt test. And I was crying. She was crying. We went out to the parking lot. We hugged. And I said, I'm proud of you either way. And we're going to get through this. We're going to go back. and you have to practice. If you don't practice, this is what's going to happen. And the ability to not blame everyone else, like you could see that she was very upset, but she didn't blame you. She didn't blame me. She was just mad. I don't know.
I
She
mean,
might blame you.
at the time, I probably blamed the fact that my dad told me that my hamster died right beforehand. I do remember that.
He did tell you that right before class. So being distracted was really not good. But I know that when I was watching her and you said jab, cross, and I was like, try the other hand. And I couldn't give her the telepathy for that. And to watch it was, it's overwhelming, and we can laugh about it now. But all of those things have shaped her, because then when she came back, she was like, I am never failing anything ever again. And she just put in all the work, and the ability to come back stronger. I think that she wouldn't be the same person that she is right now without that opportunity.
And I will say, we have students that when they do the same thing that you did, Alexis, and obviously same thing, Cassandra, when you support your child in that failure, they always come back stronger, and they always do better, and it never happens again.
Yeah, no, I never failed a test after that.
Well, now we can't engineer this to happen, but it would almost be beneficial for the students to fail either a stripe test or a belt test somewhere across their path, their journey, because what that means is then they get a sense of how much this means and how much the work that they're putting in, how much dedication they need. And I think that failure is a wonderful teaching moment. And sometimes, you make it through and you don't have that, and that's okay. But I think it doesn't necessarily mean the same if you don't see the other side of it. It's like you can't experience the bright light of day without knowing what the dark of night looks like. You have to have that counterpoint. And sometimes if we never interact with failure, if we never have an opportunity to experience failure for ourselves, then it's hard to always know what it means and the amount of work and dedication and focus and encouragement that we need in order to continue on the path.
Now, Alexis, before you actually, finished your martial arts career at second degree black belt, was there any time that you wanted to quit, excluding that maybe at the orange belt level?
I mean, COVID was hard. I would say that was probably one of the phases in like my karate journey where it wasn't necessarily like I hate karate, I don't want to do karate right now. It's just, it was really inconvenient for karate to be on Zoom. So then like during that time, I'd just been like, I have to go to my karate Zoom. And so like that was the only kind of aspect of the journey of mine that I could really remember, unless like we were just like talking about me being lazy and not wanting to do my fitness stripe ever. That was the only other time that I was just like, karate. But I would say that overall it was very much a positive experience.
And now fitness is not a problem because you go to the gym, you work out. I mean,
right. Well, and also me being able to run 2 miles for my black belt test definitely kind of helped me get through wrestling, because our first 2 weeks of wrestling, we participate in something called boot camp. And boot camp consists of a lot of running and a Murph at 5 a.m. And so like while I was on the track in the freezing cold at 5 a.m, I was just like, you know what? But I ran 2 miles once, so I can do this. So yeah, it got me through.
Well, and the neat thing is the experiences that you had from martial arts, you're able to, like, when things happen in your life, and this is what our brains do, is we go, okay, and then what happened? And then how can I overcome this or solve this problem now? And without those things in our past that we, catalog and learn from, there's nothing to pull from. And when parents shelter their kids and put them in a bubble and not allow them to experience, failure and disappointment and discouragement and all these other things, then when they grow up, they don't have that catalog to pull from. And that's where I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that's where some of your confidence and your grit and those things are being pulled from, is because you can look back and go, "Yeah, I did something similar," because you just said, well, I ran 2 miles, I can run.
Yeah.
I know we're going to run out of time here, but if we had, let's say, I don't know, a 10-year-old still listening to this podcast at this moment right now, what would you, tell them with regards to their martial arts training and just drop some 18-year-old wisdom on the 10-year-old.
18-year-old wisdom. I would say, okay, I'm going to give myself a moment to ponder on this so I don't just spew nonsense at you.
Well, and that's okay. And while you're thinking about it, maybe also from the perspective of their own performance.
Yeah. I don't feel very wise, but I do think that there is so much more value in consistency and being able to just show up. And although it might not be a case of oh, I just need to make it through one more day, it might just be. But I think that through consistency and through discipline, which is kind of a part of consistency, that you will be getting a result that is very valuable. I think that no matter how you're feeling on one day or another, that showing up and having a bad practice is better than not going to practice at all. And so I think that that's one of the things that I've kind of learned throughout that journey is sometimes you just need to be there and take in the moment. And so don't be very harsh on yourself if you can't do as many push-ups as somebody else in the room, if you can't jump as high as them, or if you can't do as many sprints, because me too. And also the lessons that you learn are way more valuable than just physical lessons, and you will definitely get your money's worth as well as your time's worth if you invest it in a program like TriStar.
Well, and Cassandra, from the parent side, if you're the parent of a 10-year-old that's going through the program, do you have any key insight that would be helpful for them to hear?
Not giving up on the program, even when there's a hard day, scheduling extra lessons when you need the support, being able to do more, even being able to schedule your breaks. And so sometimes I would say you do not have to go to practice today, but we're going to make up and do a private lesson on Friday or something like that, to be able to, sometimes kids need a break, but we planned our breaks in order to still remain successful. And what I would encourage the parents to do is start, because it creates a bond that you have with your kid that cannot be attained a different way. And you, again, will be proud of yourself when you're at the end of your journey as well.
Yeah, and what we didn't talk about is you got into the martial arts as well and got your first degree black belt.
She got her first degree. I started, and so I went through the COVID martial arts, and then I ended with my first degree belt as well.
And speak,
but
if you would, real
anyone who
quickly on
starts
that.
early.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that bond. What did that do for the both of you? I mean, you guys already had a bond. I mean, I already knew that anyways. But now then when you got in it, what did that do for that bond?
It definitely involved some practicing forms in the living room.
Yes. And then when she had something to do, instead of using her teddy bear, she has a 4-foot teddy bear that we stuff with pillows and put the gi on. She could practice on me, and I would say, I know what you're going to do, but please don't hurt me. And being able to be a good partner for her. So even when she couldn't be in the studio, just being able to be there for her for what she needed. And then when I needed practice, I had a personal trainer at home who could move the dining room table and say, you're doing your your forms wrong. Do it like this. And it was really helpful. But I think it's a great accomplishment for both of us. But I'm exceedingly happy that she got as far as she did. And it feels like a long time when you're doing it, but when you look back, it's really not. And then when you can reflect on those moments for the rest of your life. And I remember when she came to have the conversation with Master Bean to say, I'm going to take a break while I'm in high school. She said, I have a great foundation and I can always come back to this. And she does.
Yeah, and she she did. She came back to work on her material for her pageants. So
Yes.
I guess maybe so. I do have one more question, and then Mr. Bean, if you've got anything else. But I'm curious, Alexis, as you move forward into adulthood, like what are your next steps that you're looking to do? You're going to graduate from high school this year. Are you going to college? Like, what are you looking to do?
So, okay. Speaking to the future me now, I guess. Hopefully we're going to Wash U. I find out tomorrow, actually, if I got into my dream school. And so that is the goal. Although it is not karate, I am majoring in organizational and strategic management, which is in the business kind of umbrella. And so I was kind of more like inspired by that because of my previous experience in like leadership positions, as well as my Eagle Scout project and Storm leadership team. I think that I've been kind of in a lot of environments where I thrive in kind of like, I wouldn't say like a bossy managerial position, but kind of just like logistics and organization. So I'm going to see where that path takes me. I'm not concrete on whatever tomorrow holds, but I'm really excited. And so just my goal, I'm not going to be like, it's to make the world a better place, but it kind of is. And so I try to make an impact wherever I go and whatever I'm doing. So I just hope that whatever I do kind of hone in on and focus on, that I'm able to make a good impact while doing so.
Well, okay, so
go ahead.
Okay, as we're getting ready to wrap up, let's see. So Cassandra, I'll ask you first. Do you have any key thoughts or final takeaways that you would like to leave the listeners with?
Great question. I guess I've kind of said it all in the don't give up, and you can do more than you think you can. And I remember her going out for the 2-mile run, and she had her inhaler and she had a running buddy, and she was like, I can't do this. And there are a little bit of self-doubt.
My running buddy was my mom, by the way.
And I said, as long as you don't walk, we will finish this and we will finish it together.
And I told myself, my mom is 40, almost 50 years old. If my mom can outrun me, then that's a little sad. So I have to keep going. So my mom definitely was a great pacemaker.
And then Cassandra, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Overarching theme is just don't give up on the kids.
Okay.
Well, and Alexa, same thing for you. Do you have any key thoughts or final takeaways for the listeners?
I want to say something that's just like, oh, mic drop moment, but I feel like I'm not very like cool when it comes to these types of things. I think that no matter what you want to do, that TriStar and like martial arts in general has given me such a strong foundation. And I think that now, no matter what I do in life, whatever that may be, whether it's something cool and magical like becoming an astronaut or being boring and going into business like me, that having karate as a foundation is just an amazing way to train your body, train your brain to be successful. And I wouldn't have invested my 2nd grade to 8th grade time in any other place.
Well, we truly appreciate you guys, your input, and being a part of this. And just for the listeners, just when is the next pageant in June? I'm just curious.
So it is going to be, I believe, the second week of June. And so the second Friday, I am going to be either, that is the day that the next Miss Illinois teen is going to be announced. And so hopefully I'm able to perform well at my next competition. And the goal is to be able to go to Miss America.
Well, good luck. We're there to help you, and of course, we've got a whole new routine that we're putting together. So
We do. So
Mr. Bean, you want to close us out?
Yeah. Hey, listeners, if you found value in this, let us know. Like it, share it, subscribe, leave us a comment. And hey, next week we're going to be going over the confidence versus competence counterpoints. And I think that's going to be a wonderful one. I'm really excited for that one. So make sure you check back next week to listen to that. Thanks for joining the TriStar podcast, where black belts begin at home. Connect with our community by visiting tristarkarate.com. Follow us on social media and share this episode with a family who's ready to grow stronger together. Until next time, stay focused, stay faithful, and keep training like a champion.